Blackened wings, they shone as night, risen up from ash and fright, seeking dawn amidst the blue, chasing dreams I once knew. Feathers charred by ancient fire, from the darkness they aspire. Silent whispers through the trees, guiding me with gentle breeze. White ravens soar into the sun, unfolding truth that's just begun. From shadows cold to blazing sky, we find our light as we fly high. Past is but a fleeting wish, echoes in the night's only. It's Brindle, Wolf, and Diane, so listen up if you can. Yeah, journey with them today as they help you find your way. Oh, mental wellness is the topic of the hour. Mental health and the power to tap into our alignments will lead to our refinements. Phoenix Talk, a show like you've never seen. Phoenix Talks, awareness that has never been. Phoenix Talks with Brindle, Wolf, and Diane. Phoenix Talks, so tune in if you can.
Welcome, everyone, to Phoenix Talks. We are on episode 212.
Whew.
It still blows my mind.
Already.
I know we're approaching like 50 episodes.
Wow.
It's crazy. But I don't know about anybody else, but I have a great time doing these podcasts with Diane. I am Brindle Wolf, and I'm joined by Diane, our DiBiase.
Hello.
Excuse me, I'm a little bit hoarse. I decided poorly to do some Aussie singing before the show, so might not have been the best choice or life choice for tonight. But I'm not going to get in my head about that. Oh wait,
Yeah.
that's what this one is about.
Yep, don't overthink it. You're fine.
I'm not overthinking. Oh my goodness. So
yes.
we will be able to see chat from Twitch and YouTube if you guys are watching over there. So if you have any comments, questions that you'd like to throw at us, go ahead. I've got next to me my iPad open to the Facebook because for some reason Facebook doesn't show up for us on Restream. So if I see anything over there, I'll be happy to talk about that as well. But it was your turn.
It was. So the topic that came to me was overthinking. I don't even remember if we've touched upon this in the past. I think we have in some
Not directly, I don't think. Not
directly.
Not this direct.
Right. So, well, of course, as Spirit has it, when you come up with a topic, sometimes it throws you an example for you to work through. Yesterday, I was all up in my head.
Oh, just wait. I'll
Yes.
let you finish. I'm not going to interrupt, but
Why do we overthink? What happens when we overthink? What does that do for us? And how do we get ourselves out of it? Let's talk about overthinking.
Okay. Now, I'm going to tell you the irony about the topic for this week, because literally the day, Sunday, when she sent sent me the message saying, "Get out of your head." I'm like, "Are you kidding?" Because I had literally just finished something that gut punched me and
Okay.
sent me into a mental spiral. And one of the things that getting in your head can cause is throwing your nervous system off to the point of panic attack, anxiety attack, not feeling right, getting nauseous, not and just absolutely thinking the worst, which does what? Just continues to perpetuate that feeling.
Right.
So when you sent me that message after the morning that I had, I was like, really?
And there we have it. And I woke up Tuesday morning with this anxiety about the big leap of faith that I took. So, like, the fears crept up and started to show their little ugly heads. So, I had to take my own advice and walk myself through and get myself out of that, getting up all in the fears and putting my focus in the wrong direction.
Right.
So, let's talk about how does it affect us? Okay, so let's talk about first why it's not a great thing to be stuck in that rumination mode, that hamster wheel of thought, that catastrophic
No one.
thinking that occurs when you're feeling off in some kind of way. Number one, you're making assumptions. Number two, you're setting your nervous system. Well, actually, these are not a number of order of importance. I'm just listing.
This is not chronological order of how it
No.
happens because every body is different.
Yes, correct. These are just a list. It throws your nervous system out of whack. So what is that going to do to you? Well, it's going to put you in extreme drained mode. So you're draining yourself with your overthinking. You can't think clearly. You're unmotivated now to do what you have to do during the day. And you're extremely exhausted. You've totally worn yourself out with the overthinking that might occur. Are you using that time productively, though? I mean, because where the focus goes, the energy flows. So that's something that
Mm-hmm.
find yourself when you catch yourself ruminating. What assumptions am I making?
Right.
Intentionally relaxing your nervous system. Do whatever tricks and tips you have to do for yourself to assist your nervous system to bring it back to that safety, because it's your mind that's triggering that fear in your body, that fight or flight response in your body, and sending you down that spiral. So are you acknowledging and observing what comes up for you in that rumination? And are you reflecting on those things as an observer? Or are you allowing yourself to go back into old ways of falling into resentments that might come up? Focusing on lack, just the different things that your brain goes to, the catastrophic thinking, worst case scenarios, and all of that wonderful, lovely stuff. Because
I was actually rehearsing in my head because of what had happened Sunday morning. I was actually rehearsing in my head a speech to give on one of my other podcasts, The Messengers.
Yeah.
The next night of, I'm going to have to take a break. I don't know what the future is going to be for this show. That's how bad it got. See, even though both of us are coaches, both of us work with heightened awareness, life happens.
Right.
And it can happen so fast that it doesn't matter how much you know, how much you've practiced, it can throw you off.
Right.
And throw you right into the head.
Right. So it's okay to feel not okay. We're not 100% all the time, every day. I could choose joy till I'm blue in the face, but sometimes those things are going to come up. Why? Why are they coming up? Is there a message in there for me? What am I supposed to learn from that? Am I supposed to move on from these thought patterns and behaviors? Are they relevant in my experience now, or am I just allowing some old idea to creep back up into my space to knock me off my game? You know, we're very sensitive to things around us too. So we could be picking up on what's happening out there in the world and that energy that that brings, and internalize it somehow, which actually will bring up your own issues that you need to heal. So let's talk about how to walk through it. So when you catch yourself, this is what I did for myself. That's in this specific situation yesterday. However, there's more to it, and there's more that you can do in whatever circumstances that you're in, and why you're stuck all up in here. If this is a repeat thing that keeps coming up, there's more to learn about yourself. So first, shift into that self-compassion and understanding that there's stuff here that needs to be addressed. Then when you analyze it, use the utmost honesty. Is this line of thinking relevant in my life now, with my circumstances now? If a part of it is yes, then understand, are you doing anything to fix what might happen? Are you doing anything to prevent what might happen that's happening in your catastrophic thinking? If you are taking actions towards yourself in order to prevent said fear from coming to fruition, if it is plausible, then you got to cut yourself some slack and surrender and trust the process, and know that you're doing what you need to do in order to get yourself the safety and security that you're looking for in whatever the circumstance is.
And, you know, for the people who, like for me on Sunday night, when I laid down to rest for the night, when I got into bed, the thoughts were just continuing to race, and just getting worse. And finally, I said this out loud to myself because I needed to hear it, and I had nobody else to tell me. You can't fix all of this right now. Get rest. Face it tomorrow.
It's still going to be there.
It will not go anywhere, and there is nothing that you can do about this right now. And a few minutes later, I was drifting off. Now, is this going to happen immediately for everyone who takes this advice? No, because this has taken a lot of work on my part to be able to set it aside, knowing I'm going to have to face it the next day, not covering it up and pushing it away. Just realizing right now I can't do anything about this. I need to get rest. And something else that I do, and this actually really helped because you brought up about the energetic and the nervous system. One thing that I've learned, and it's going to make some people dizzy because it makes me dizzy, but it's a great reset, is if you know diaphragmatic breathing, and you inhale as much as you can, pushing that belly out, and don't stop there. And you just keep and bring it up and raise up and fill up your lungs completely as well. Hold for as long as you can. It's going to make you a little dizzy. It's going to make your head spin a little bit. But when you exhale, you're going to feel a reset beginning to happen. Because one thing that we tend to do when we get up in our heads is hold our breath. And not in that way, and not in a good way. We take more shallow, our breathing goes more shallow. And go ahead.
I'm gonna use that as homework. So this is a good thing for folks to do, generally speaking, but especially when you start to overthinking, is to focus on your breath. But I'm going to add something to that diaphragmatic breathing technique and ask everyone to contract your lower abdominal muscles. Well, everything from the lower abdomen down. So your Kegels, the muscles that you use for defecation, that whole region, tighten those, contract and tighten those muscles on the inhale, which is awkward and
Yeah.
unnatural.
Yeah. I know
On the
exactly what you're talking about.
inhale. So what that
Because
does,
what you're doing is this as you inhale.
yes, right. So it's kind of weird to bring air into your diaphragm whilst you're simultaneously focusing on those muscle groups to
Mhm.
contract and tighten those muscles. And holding all of that for however long you can. And when you release slowly, you're going to also release the tension and the contracted muscles and relax them as you exhale completely and fully.
Right. And for
Do
a
that
visual
several.
to help people so that they understand what's going on inside. When I used to do this as a kid, so that's why it came to mind. I would I would squeeze my wrist as much as I could, and I just pump and pump and pump and pump. You see my veins starting to pop out?
Mhm.
That's what's happening. That's what she's describing. So, and if you were like me, you would just pump it and you would hold it until your hand was white and you had no blood flow going to any of the fingers, and then you released and you just watched the blood flow right back in, and you
Yeah.
felt that rush. That's what this type of breathing technique is doing. It's
So,
holding all that in, and then once you release, you're
yeah.
relaxing.
What it's literally doing in the body is releasing the spinal fluid from the base of your spine all the way up into your brain. And then from there, releasing the happy chemicals in your brain, like the dopamines, the serotonins, and all those. So you're immediately bringing yourself into a better state of being emotionally, because it's,
Right.
releasing the chemicals that you need to get a hit of.
Yeah.
In
And
that
until
moment.
Diane has her own videos, you can actually look up Joe Dispenza, because he can train you via video how to do this.
Yes.
So until Diane has her own, I will plug you once you have your own, because
Thank
I
you.
know that you're working towards this. But until that time, you can look Joe Dispenza. He's
Yes.
amazing with teaching how to
Yes.
do the exact breathing with all the science behind it.
Yes. Yes. So there's we just plugged in your homework before we even finished the conversation. I love it.
Which has so many branches that we could go off on.
I know.
Let's
I know.
pull one down. Which one do we want to point on?
Right. So in essence, when you're stuck in that rumination mode, you're basically telling yourself the same story over and over again. And you're making assumptions. So now you're filling in the holes because you lack information.
Mm-hmm.
And that could be because you don't know what the future holds. That could be because someone said something, you don't know what they're going to do next. That's going to create an issue in your peaceful world.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a number of reasons why we start getting all caught up in your head, whether it be at your job. Oh no, I did something wrong. My boss is gonna. Blah, 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 blah. So the rumination and the overthinking is basically you telling yourself the story of how things go wrong.
Yep.
It's almost like, especially in females' biology in the brain, we're wired to have as much information as possible so that we can, calculate and discern. So
That's why I can't ever finish conversations in my head. I couldn't resist.
It was right there on a silver platter.
It was right there. She literally handed that to me.
Touche.
But it actually gave me an opportunity, because one of the things that I personally battled, not as bad as I used to, because I became acutely aware of this, is the rumination of conversations that you haven't had. If you are standing in a room by yourself and you're thinking about talking to somebody else about something that's a little bit stressful, and you're going back and forth with this person, I need you to stop for a second and go, who am I talking to? There's nobody here. Who am I having a conversation with? This is all in your head. This is getting in your head. And yes, I'm a little bit blunt and straightforward, because sometimes we really have to scold ourselves to jolt out of that. Who am I talking to? No one. So why am I getting so upset?
Right. Right. Focus your energy on being okay with allowing things to unfold, allowing yourself to affirm your own safety, allowing yourself to believe in yourself and trust that you're doing what you need to do. Allowing yourself to understand that if you have not yet done what you need to do in order to make yourself safe, understand that, okay, this is my notification to go ahead and do those things so that I can help myself. Because ruminating and overthinking on the same topic and getting that catastrophic thinking comfortable in your brain is not helping you. You're self-sabotaging. You're not allowing yourself to just surrender to the process and let it be. If you're not analyzing those fears and nurturing them and loving them and giving them compassion and shifting your mindset and perspective on whatever it is that the fear is that's coming up and sitting there, you're not giving yourself an opportunity to move past it. And it's going to keep coming up in many ways.
Which is actually a perfect segue to a comment that's in the chat. I'm going to share it on the screen. I was just thinking about this, and this is Ash from the Rise community. Sometimes I get triggered by things I thought I'd already processed, and it makes me feel like I haven't healed as much as I thought. That's a lie you tell yourself. First off,
healing is a process.
It is. It is a process, and sometimes it takes something coming up at random, because there was an element, there was an essence that was, okay, now I've healed this, and you push it away.
Right.
But there was an ellipses after.
Right. ...
Right.
That could make the overthinking worse, because you're also now putting yourself down for having it come up again, when the reality is it's going to keep coming up until you have deeper levels of understanding to the point of, okay, now it's good. And you don't know if it's going to be good or not.
No.
So first, shift your mindset about things coming back up to surface. All that means to me is that go you, because you've reached the point where you're going to be able to heal it at a deeper level. That's a good thing. If it's coming up again for you to focus on and you're doing the same exact thing and reliving the same exact thing without ever making progress, that's intentionally self-sabotaging. Where are you at? Are you choosing to self-sabotage? And oh, that's harsh, but it's the reality, because it is a choice. Or are you going to now acknowledge the overthinking is occurring and allowing yourself to actually face those fears, face those things that are coming up, and walk yourself through them with intellect and a new emotional energy and understanding. So are you healing it? Don't tell yourself stories. You have to be more powerful than the programming, because ultimately that's the stories are part of the programming. Or if you're in something that's completely different than anything you've ever experienced, it might even be something unfamiliar to you and new, so you're questioning it. So you have to get yourself to a point of feeling safe. And that's not going to happen if you decide to maintain the same stories and keep them there and then, spiral downward into victimhood. Don't do that. Stop the overthinking.
It isn't always this way. It isn't always this way. You don't always attract the same people.
Right.
You don't always make the same mistakes. It's not true. It's a lie. And when you get up in your head, that's when we start lying to ourselves that we can't get out of where we're at.
Right.
And it's total fear.
Right. Right. Yeah. We could ruminate for any reason whatsoever.
Yeah.
And it's really literally the biggest waste of energy. If you're going to think, make it useful, make it purposeful, and make it intentional to walk through and work through whatever it is that's coming up for you to acknowledge and love and heal. And don't ever shame or judge yourself for whatever it is that's coming into your mind, because you're not helping. That's making it worse.
Right. And,
That's not the
back
point.
in 23, I was going through with a couple coaches that were trying to help me set things up. And part of the process was facing myself and facing my own insecurities and my own anxieties. And there was this one day where I was particularly over anxious and overly insecure. And there was an exercise that helped me to work through that, write it down, face it, look at things. And it took me all day. Another coach said, that's great and all. It's great that that you are facing all these anxieties and looking at all these insecurities. That's all you're doing. What are you doing about it? Because one of the easiest ways out of anxiety is action.
Mm-hmm. Right. Yeah.
And that hit.
Yeah. Yes. And you need to reassure yourself. Sometimes we just need some reassurance, and we don't necessarily have someone to go to or turn to for that reassurance. So we need
No.
to reassure ourselves, and that's shifting the mindset. When you shift the mindset and know that it's going to be okay because X, Y, and Z is in place, or going to be in place, or now you know what to do, you have to reassure yourself. Sometimes if there's another party, that other party can reassure you.
Yeah.
And sometimes that's hearing the reassurance from an external source does become helpful in filling in blanks and holes for you that your story was lying to you about. You know what I'm saying? So if you're gathering more information in that reassurance for yourself, or affirming the truth in that reassurance from someone else, that's also great. So if you have someone to reach out to that you can bounce your overthinking off of, they might help you return to clarity or add more clarity. So if you're struggling to do it for yourself, or if you want that extra bit to make sure you're on the right track, don't hesitate to reach out to somebody.
No. Somebody you trust.
Right.
Somebody
Right.
that will compassionately not bullshit you
Mm-hmm.
and be there.
Right.
Now,
Yes.
if you want to stay stuck in your head, broadcast it everywhere. Go ahead. And then report back to one of us how well that worked for you. I already know the answer.
No bueno.
No bueno.
No. And it's almost, think of it this way. It's almost like you're putting a ball and chain on your ankle, and now you can't walk down the path
Exactly.
because you just added more luggage to yourself, more baggage to carry around.
And if you want a reminder of the extension that I'm about to bring up, go back and watch it, because we did an episode on toxic positivity. This is not the way out of your head. This is not the way out of a spiral. It's a Band-Aid.
Right.
But as I so delicately talked about in a Facebook post this week, think of it as a pile of poo.
Yeah.
Because when there is a pile of poo, it will smell. It will stink the place up.
It's funny that you say that now, because before, like 2 minutes ago, in my head came cut the crap.
Now, you can ignore this pile of poo, because eventually the smell will diminish. You will get used to the smell. It won't bother you, but it's still going to be there as long as you don't clean it up. So when you are in your head, you can practice great mindset shifting. You really can. And you can work through things. But just covering it with toxic positivity is like seeing a pile of poo on the floor and walking by it and not picking it up.
Right.
It is the
Right.
exact same thing.
Right. Face your fears, walk yourself through it the way we taught you, and allow yourself to just surrender to the process and be okay with not having all of the blanks filled in with information if it's yet to unfold or still unfolding for you. Don't make assumptions. Uh, if it's an interesting circumstance that involves abuse, it's don't make assumptions, but use your judgment as to preparedness.
Yes.
There may be a need to prepare, whatever that looks like for you, whether that means like a bag to leave quickly or setting up a space to stay if anything should happen, get yourself ready and just
And
let
there's an
it go.
entire series over on Spotify. If you look up Omega Empowerment, Carrie, also known as Lunaria, and I did a full series on exiting and exit strategies. So you can just look up
Check it
Omega
out.
and look up Omega Empowerment. There's about 5 hours of podcast over there. Actually, there's 5 episodes.
Mm-hmm.
It's almost 10, 12 hours worth of great music, obviously, because it's from our writers community, but
Right.
also us going back and forth talking about creating these exit strategies. But if you're stuck in your head in an abusive relationship, only you can make the decision to change it. And it's not just even if you're in an abusive relationship. If you want to get out of your head, nobody is going to drag you out. No one. No medication. It will all soothe for the moment. But it is your journey. And it's uncomfortable. Sorry.
It is. It is. And we gave you the tools, and we're giving you the tools on how to get yourself out of that rumination state and that overthinking state. Remember, overthinking is clouding your judgment, and it's distracting your focus from what the important progressive actions are that need to be taken and mindsets that need to be addressed and shifted into or away from. So it's taking you away from moving yourself forward.
How can you pay attention to opportunities if you're only looking at the mistakes you've made?
Right.
And a follow-up to that statement is you can't learn from any mistake that you haven't made. But if you are stuck in your head, ruminating, going over and over again, meanwhile, opportunities are flying right by you at every turn, every corner, every possible other thought that you could be having that you're ignoring because, well, this is just how I am.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that just sums it up. There's a list that Diane and I could create of what that means. But this is just how I am. This is just what I have to deal with. This is just what I have to face. It is what it is.
Right.
Is it?
Remember the stories you're telling yourself, and why are you telling yourself those stories? Who told you those things years ago, or who's continuously planting seeds of those fears in your brain? Stop listening to anyone but your own voice. Start observing your thoughts and deciding, is that how I really feel? Is that what I really think? Is that really fit this scenario? Ask yourself the gamut of questions. Do your breathing techniques, focus on your breath, do whatever you have to do. I'm more on the spiritual side. I mean, I was burning Palo Santo. I did my sound bowls, like I did a healing Reiki thingy on me to help me move the energy of those fears out. It did take me all day to come to a space of calm. And I was reassuring myself all day and walking myself through, why do I think that that's the worst case scenario that's going to actually happen? Because is that even plausible as an option? Or am I just reminded of or remembering situations from my past that didn't go well? Like there's
Right.
that little
Right.
story time in your brain happening. So do whatever you need to do in order to help your nervous system relax. Go out in nature, do your breathing.
Sorry, I'm messing with the light. I'm getting distracted by looking too much like Two-Face. Because the light outside is shifting and it's darker inside. There we
Yeah.
go. All right.
We're still very bright and cheerful here in Ohio.
Anyway. But something really cool this morning that, I can't believe after 52 years on this planet that I didn't think of sooner, but it came through during my morning reflection, the morning reading, where there's so many times where I will look at my childhood as a victim, as an outcast, of always having to reach out to people, always having to wait on people to arrive, not knowing if they were going to show up. And we didn't have cell phones when I was a kid, so it was so much easier to ghost people you didn't like back then. So there were so many times that I would just get caught up in that. And that's where, when I get in my head on a similar subject, I'll go. So the breakthrough that came through today was, okay, if you waited and they showed up, did you have fun after? Yeah. Okay. And
Yeah.
that one metaphor, that one breakthrough was relatable to so many different things, because, going through the journey of looking at the darkness inside, releasing that, not getting in our head about it, facing it,
Hmm.
going through that, knowing that it's a process, knowing that healing's a process, knowing that a journey to get anywhere is a process. Did you have fun after? Did you have fun along the way? Or was it just like me standing out in the driveway, doing nothing but ruminating, where are my friends? I mean, there were some times where they just didn't show up. Okay, had to deal with that. That's a completely different conversation. But for the purpose of this one, when they did show up, yeah, I had fun. I enjoyed their company. We did what we did.
Yeah.
So shift. We always look at the bad aspect, and that's what we spin on. We don't spin on what good came of it.
Hmm. We focus on the lack. We
Yeah.
focus on the holes, on the missing things. And that's your fears creeping in, and you not allowing yourself to surrender to the process or taking actions towards shifting your mindset and doing things differently in your world. So the best way to kill overthinking is to take action on those thoughts and
Mhm.
make a decision to walk through and face what it is that you need to face.
I mean, there are NLP techniques that can be used to adjust these thoughts, these thought processes. They don't always stick, because you can have another thought and it goes right back. And then you're scrambling to remember what the process was that you went through to get beyond it. And if you haven't practiced it enough and you don't know it well enough, shit, what do I do now? So remember, no emotion is permanent. No moment is permanent. That's one of the most important things to remember when you get in your head. This is a moment. This is not a permanence.
Right.
Feel what you
Right.
need to feel. If you just got gut punched, you're going to feel it for a day or two.
Yeah. And remember, you're not in the moment if you're overthinking because you're revisiting and reliving the past or worrying about a future that hadn't happened yet and doesn't exist.
Mm-hmm.
So you're robbing yourself of being joyful in the present moment. So sometimes you got to face those fears and walk through them in order to get yourself back into that state of joy.
And I'm going to let you in on a little secret that I want to reveal to everybody because it was also brought to my attention. Hey, yo, Brendel, you need to be a little bit more vulnerable. So I'm going to share something with you guys that you may not have known. When I'm on camera, I look at myself in the eyes. I don't look at the camera. I look at myself in the eyes. Because when I go back to watch these, I want to hear the words that I said. I want to be looking at myself. Because sometimes what I say, I need to hear.
Mm-hmm.
So in a way, this is mirror talk for me.
Beautiful. Yes. There's many of different things that we can do for ourselves. I love that you do that for yourself. We have to do what works for us
Mm-hmm.
as individuals. So we can send you every suggestion and share with you every way, but you have to choose what's going to work for you. Sometimes
Exactly.
it's trial and error. Sometimes you're not going to know what's going to work for you to walk through something unless you try it. And sometimes you'll need something different for each different scenario. Maybe
Mm-hmm.
it worked last time, but it's not working this time. Try something different.
Exactly. Healing is not linear.
Mm-mm. Mm-mm.
It's not black and white. I mean, there's so many different things, God, that can happen in your life that's the same yet different because you're different than everybody else.
Mm-hmm.
And you're going
And
to
things
process
hit,
differently.
and things also hit you differently as time goes on, because don't forget you're evolving, and as you slowly shift your mindset as time goes on, you're going to respond differently. Your overthinking is going to look different over time also.
I did notice that Freudian slip of mind shit.
That was very good.
Because let's call it what it is when we get up there. It's mind shit that we
Yes,
need to
it's a
clean
shitty
up.
thought.
Yes.
Yes, we can go in so many different directions with that one.
We really could.
But ultimately, you have to get out of your head and cut the crap.
Yeah.
And not in a dismissive of your emotions way, in a compassionate and loving way, so that you can understand what needs to be healed on a deeper level. Give yourself a pat on the back for it. Give yourself gratitude for not letting the overthinking consume you and take over and ruin your month.
Yeah. It might ruin your day. Shit
Or
happens.
hour, whatever,
It
however
happens.
long it ruins.
It
But is it
happens.
really ruining though, or is it actually a benefit to you? Because when I woke up this morning, I told my partner I really needed yesterday. I needed to sit in the mud with those fears.
Mhm.
I really needed to do that and make peace with them, so I can. And today I was so productive. I got so many things happening, like I was so clear-minded today. So sometimes it's like taking out the trash.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. But, if you let
And
it
and
sit
and
there.
they and the trash collectors, they collect every week.
Mm-hmm.
So, there's no limit to taking out the trash.
Right. Right. Just
It
different layers of it.
Yeah. So if you're
Yeah.
going through something and you're getting re-triggered by things that you thought that you went through, Yeah.
Yeah.
I call it a universal gag.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, I don't usually call it a universal gag. I'm just going to use that for the purposes of here. Usually it's a, oh, really? You thought you worked through that? Oh, really? Let's test that.
Yes. So one of the biggest things that I know we didn't say yet, and I'm just going to squeeze in here last
Okay,
minute
go
because I
for
know
it.
we're close to time, is don't blame others. Because sometimes your overthinking is he did this or she did this or they said this or they. None of that is about them at all. It's about what is left to heal in your own heart. What is the underlying issue within yourself?
Season 1, permission. That one I know.
Go check it out.
Season 1, permission.
Mhm.
Because no one, nothing can make you feel any way you do not give permission to.
Mhm. Right. So stop blaming them because ultimately your overthinking and stories are because you're not taking responsibility for the aspects of yourself that you need to heal and release.
And the only time that that statement of it is their fault that will ever be true, the only time that it will ever be true is the moment they do. Think about that. Let that sink in. Because once it's done, they are no longer part of your thought to feeling equation.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
For that blame, for that moment. So that's a bit of fun accountability that we all have to go through at some point.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Love yourself through it.
don't blame them.
Mm-mm.
They showed you something you weren't aware of.
Mm-hmm.
That
They
you
showed you
didn't.
what you don't like.
Yep.
Now you
And
know you don't like that.
today marks the 2-year anniversary of some place that I left because they continuously showed me what I don't like.
Right. Wow. How's that for timing?
So,
So you have your homework now. Focus on your breathing and make it the fancy one.
yeah.
And walk yourself through the process of sitting in the mud with those fears that are creating those stories in your head or those past events or the future worries or whatever. Just sit with whatever it is and allow yourself to face them and walk through them with love and compassion and understanding for yourself and choose to implement something else going forward. Take actions to help
Mhm.
yourself come out of it. Any kind of actions that are going to help you. Yeah.
100%.
Seek the reassurance, Yeah,
Neither one of us want to stop talking about this because
I
it's
know,
such an
except we
important
have
topic.
to.
Yeah. You
We're
have
gonna
something you have to
we're
go
gonna
to do.
ruminate on it now.
Oh, we could for hours. But that's pretty much it. Breathe.
Mhm.
You're okay.
You're safe.
Hmm. And if you're
Yeah.
not, you get there.
Yeah, and you're worthy of peace and clarity.
You're worth everything.
Mhm.
So,
Yeah,
shameless plug time.
go for it.
Ladies first.
Oh, thank you. Diane R. DiBiase on Facebook and Divine by Design with Love on Instagram. And you can also find me on heal.me. And if anyone out there is in the Columbus, Ohio area, you can book a session with me at the local Reiki Center here, as well as
Beautiful.
in my healing studio at home.
Eventually, I'll teach her how to use Zoom, so she'll be able to do virtual as well.
I do. I do virtual either on WhatsApp or Facebook Messenger. There's different ways depending on the phones that people have and the computers and stuff like that. So,
But her Facebook info will be on the link. The
yes.
link for her Facebook will be on the video below in the description. Not tonight, or as of the live, but tomorrow.
Thank you.
No problem.
Okay. Your
And to get in touch with me, you can look my name up, minus the Brindle Wolf, on Facebook. You can find me there. You can look up Evolve and Emerge. Join my Facebook private group. I have an offering there every other week. It's called Risers in Flight. You can become a member, or you can be part of the audience. There's more information there on the page about that. You can also find me on www.untriggered.net, where I have all of my pricing schedules there. There is energy exchange for both of us to work with us individually off the air. We love sharing so much with you guys, but if you want to work with us directly, we would love to, because sometimes you just need a guiding hand to help you fix what's not broken.
Sometimes your coach is what you need for validation and reassurance.
100%.
Thank you, Ashley, very much for the beautiful comment that you did.
Yes, thank you, Ash. And welcome to watching the show. I don't know what the topic is going to be for next week. It's my turn.
It's your turn.
It kind of tried to hint earlier, and I'm like, really? And gone. So I'll let you guys know what it's going to be. But don't forget, messengers. We'll be back next Monday with Lunaria and myself. We'll be bringing music and messages to you guys, and we have some great music lined up, as we always do. And Diane and I will be back next Wednesday, 6 p.m., same place. And don't forget to love you.
Yes, love yourself. We love you. We love ourselves. It's all about the love.
100%.
The real love, the unconditional one.
100%. So we're going to say goodnight, and you guys have such a blessed week, and take care of yourself. Keep going, because only you can.
That's it. We love you. Thank you.
It's Brindle Wolf and Diane, so listen up if you can. Yeah, journey with them today as they help you find your way.